welcome to the CHGO Red Stars Podcast presented by Coors Light, the official domestic beer partner of Chicago Fire FC. Chicago Choose Chill. Go to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Soccer. That's CoorsLight.com/CHGO SOCCER to get Coors Light delivered straight to your door. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Well, it has been an interesting few weeks since our last episode in the world of the Chicago Red Stars. Unfortunately, that has included no wins, but we do have plenty to talk about, including an NWSL attendance record being broken, so some maybe new fans being made from that. The Red Stars continue to be better on the road than they are at home, so they continue to do that. Swanson and Sam Staab both played for the U.S. Women's National Team, so we'll talk about that. And then we have the very exciting news discussion topic, whatever we want to call it, of a potential legal battle between a municipality, a music festival, and Chicago's soccer teams. We got a lot to get to, and for all of that, I am joined by Grant Dorsey of the Red Stars Report podcast, also formerly of Women's Sports Matter, now the PA announcer for River Light FC, doing USL League 2 and USLW League games out in Aurora in the far western suburbs. Grant, we've been wanting to have you on the show for a while at this point, so great to have you here.
Sorry about that. So much Kane County stuff going on, so much River Light stuff going on, but it's good to be back in the CHGO studios.
Yes, previously a CHGO Sky guest, I believe. So
one-time appearance.
Yeah, one time that counts. Yeah, also works for the Kane County Cougars. So basically, if you're out at a semi-pro sporting event in the far western suburbs of Chicago, keep an eye out for Grant because there's a decent chance you're going to see them. We're going to start with the games, at least the older games, and then kind of work our way through the other stuff. That begins with Red Stars 0, Racing Louisville 1. We're going to talk about this for as little time as we absolutely have to. Emma Sears scored a really nice goal for Louisville. That was kind of the only cool thing that happened in this game. Penelope Hocking had an okay game for the Red Stars in this one. Most notably, Mal Swanson, who has often been a problem this season, basically anonymous for the first 85 minutes of this game. Then picks up the ball, drives down the field, puts in a nice cross, and Penelope Hocking produces a very nice save. That was the Red Stars' best chance. I think at the time, Grant, this was just kind of this is a quintessential, not great Red Stars performance. This, if they aren't the team who comes out and scores early and dictates, they kind of have struggled to pick themselves up off the mat at times.
Yeah. It's kind of disappointing, especially against Louisville. I remember when Louisville first came into the league and we couldn't beat them, and then we finally did beat them. It was like, oh, that's great. And now it's just like, are we doing this again? But I will just say, as someone that used to work in Big Ten athletics, Emma Sears is her, and she is the future. So I'm not surprised that she's the one that scored against us, but keep an eye out for her because she is just phenomenal. So
yeah, Louisville's a weird team. They're kind of in an odd space, but at the beginning of the year, they were being defensively solid, but they couldn't score either.
Yep.
And they're slowly maybe starting to figure out some attacking things. Maybe again, to your point though, they've got a lot of young players, a lot of kind of unknown players. Taylor Flint, Taylor Korniak is still there. Jalen Howell is still there technically, although she has just been so injury-riddled for the last year or so, it's probably cost her a spot on the national team, to be honest. So, they've got a good piece. I believe Katie Lund is still in goal there, and there's a lot of – basically anybody who's a Louisville fan argues that she should be in the national team. But we are familiar here in Chicago with U.S. Women's National Team goalkeeper discourse, which we will get into, I think, maybe just briefly later. But, Louisville, an interesting team, but a team the Red Stars would like to be beating. Speaking of teams the Red Stars would like to be beating, Red Stars 1, Bay FC 2. Obviously, this game was interesting for mostly reasons that had nothing to do with soccer. 35,038 fans at a rainy, for the first 30 minutes, Wrigley Field. Shout out to everybody who made that trip. Really cool to see that go, I think, better than anybody at the Red Stars would have expected. I don't think you'll get anybody on the record saying that. If you would ask them when they announced that event, how many people do you think you're going to get? But it was kind of cool to see over time. It's like, oh, we've sold 19,000 tickets. Oh, we've sold 22,000 tickets. Oh, we've sold 25, and we're going to open up all the sections of the stands now. And then you heard lots of people in and around the team not guaranteed they were going to break their record, but people like the likes of Sarah Spain, for example, talking very confidently that a record was going to be broken. They broke it by about 1,000, previously set for Megan Rapinoe's farewell game in Seattle. So before we get to any of the soccer, just given the last few years that this team has been through, and given the struggling attendance numbers, the lack of marketing and exposure, this was just like a sight for sore eyes, really, to see the Red Stars get to play in this kind of big event and have quite literally the spotlight shown this brightly on this team.
Yeah, I think it was just a credit to the marketing team and the social team. As an advertising major, I find it really interesting, every bits and pieces that they did to put this all together. Starting with that commercial that they shot and in Wrigley Field, and getting local celebrities too, like the hot dog guy from Wrigley Field. That is a great little Easter egg for Cubs fans to come to the game to be like, oh, he's telling us to go, so now we should go too. Mm-hmm. Just the buildup of that, I think really helped. If they didn't market it well, I don't think they would have broken the record compared to the Soldier Field game, where there wasn't really a lot that went into that. But with
that was very much a Chicago Fire product that the Red Stars and Alex Morgan also conveniently happened to be there for. Yeah. I think the other thing that was interesting in the marketing strategy was, for the first 80% of it, no Mal Swanson.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the promotional material, which seemed odd, and I didn't really get it. But then at the end, what happened in the last 20% was so much Mal and Dansby Swanson. Shout out to the obvious shirts guys with the Mallory Swanson is good at soccer shirt. Mm-hmm. I really need to get myself one of those. You just saw more of them suddenly come out of the woodwork, because for anybody who's around the Red Stars and has just witnessed the lack of marketing, Mal is a specifically interesting example, because it's just you've got this person who is a starter for the national team, has all these endorsement deals, is just, traditionally very pretty, and is also married to the shortstop of the Cubs. This should be easy.
Easy money, guys.
This should be the easiest person in the world to market, and it just wasn't happening. And now it's especially now that the same people to a degree own both the Cubs and the Red Stars, this becomes a heck of a lot easier. So I don't think this is going to be the last time we see crossover of this nature. But I think it went off so well. We do have to talk about, though, the soccer that happened. So some good news. Alyssa Nair returned for this game, which I have a feeling that if this wasn't the Wrigley game, I don't know if Alyssa Nair starts this game. I think she probably takes another week, given that this came on the heels of an international break she was out of because she was injured. But she looked fine, I think, for the most part in this game. The other lineup wrinkle that I didn't get as much was Julia Bianchi playing as a 10. We saw this late in the Louisville game. It didn't really work.
Yeah.
It didn't work here. It hasn't been seen since after this game. So I get the idea of Julia being a good pressing player. But if you're going to put one of Bianchi, Riccaro, or Nesbitt further forward, give me Leilani Nesbitt with that, what did Lauren Donaldson call her? His pit bull.
Yeah.
Put her higher up the field and have her pressing like crazy. Although I guess I was also just glad to see Julia Bianchi back out there, because her absence has been also strange.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting what he did, putting her as the 10, but I just don't know, where exactly, if she should go back to her original position, or maybe she should try something different. But I know that Lauren's always trying to try different things and see what works out, especially between switching Tatum and Taylor, depending on the game. That's something that I've kept an eye on as well. So it's been really interesting to see, who he thinks is the best tactical fit for each game, compared to she's good at this position, she's going to start this for this game. But yeah,
I also think, and we'll get more into this in the more recent games, specifically the Kansas City one, we've kind of seen now a pattern over the last several weeks of the Red Stars are trying things. There's at least recognition that, okay, this 4-4-2 block thing isn't, with this personnel, isn't really it. So now they're in this period of trying a few things. This game did not have a lot go on in it, especially in the first half. Kiki Pickett for Bay FC, great strike for the opening goal. Really no criticism for anybody on the Red Stars side for that. This game then had about 50 minutes of a whole bunch of nothing happening. Basically, in the Bay FC RA, they want to go quickly. They're not going to really possess the ball and hold a team, versus the Red Stars being a team that can kind of hold the ball, but then often can't do much with it holding the ball. It looked like it was going to be 2-0 in the 73rd minute. Kundinaji rounds Nair. Looks like it's going to be a highlight reel goal. She just blazes it over the top. Bay FC remain very scary going forward, if nothing else. Asiat Oshawala, a quiet game in this one, but she is out there as well. Kundanaji then hit the post a minute after she should have scored the first time. So she was, the second goal was coming. It comes in the 79th minute. Good work between Kundanaji and Dorian Bailey. Cross comes right across the front of the 6-yard box, and it looks like the Red Stars have dealt with it. It is trapped by Chardonnay Curran, and then she blindly just spins a 180, kicks it. Joelle Anderson knows nothing about this. It just hits her in the knee and goes in, and Curran's not a rookie, but she's a young player, and this is, I think, just a mental mistake. This is a situation where, when in doubt, you just got to kick it out to the side and even kick it out for a corner and kind of live to fight another day. This was a very tough goal to watch go in.
When I was at work, I hope nobody at King County is watching. When I was at work, I put it in on my phone on YouTube TV to tune into the game, and right as I tuned in, I see it happen. I was like, wow. And fun fact of the day, when WGN was promoting or talking about the game after the fact, they showed that clip as the only goal. I was like, you didn't want to show Penelope Hocking scoring at
That is
Wrigley
called
Field?
somebody was on deadline and made that story before the final whistle. Also, this is a good, because we just got to lean into this a bit. I think it has mostly subsided for now. I've stopped getting notifications. We are a podcast. We are not the soccer team. If you would like to find the soccer team on social media, it is at Chicago Red Stars, all one word. We are at CHGO_Red Stars. We are a podcast. We are not a soccer team. Thank you for the new followers anyway. I'm not going to be mad about those. The Red Stars.
No, you are the soccer team.
We are actually the social arm of the Chicago Red Stars.
Yeah.
You just
Now get to kicking.
Yeah. Next thing, can we get hired as players for the Red Stars? Not sure how that's going to work, but maybe they can find something else for us to go out there and do. I think I sent the Tom Hanks. I was not Captain Phillips, whatever the meme is of the I'm the captain now. It's just I am the admin now at this point of the Red Stars, or at least lots of people seem to think I was. So anyway, in the last 5 minutes of this game, the Red Stars do wake up. Kerry Recaro hits one from distance and hits the crossbar. And then the moment where everybody gets to use all their fireworks and, the light show and all the fun stuff. Penelope Hocking scores at the 3rd minute of stoppage time. Crowd gets to cheer. Fireworks, cool movement. And then everybody in, NWSL world posted the exact same stat that her dad scored a run at Wrigley Field about 20 years previous when he was playing for the Minnesota Twins. Yep. So I guess that's fun. He was in attendance at this game too. So cool father-daughter moment there, if nothing else.
Yeah, and in case anyone was curious of the jersey that she was wearing, I was originally wearing her father's jersey. I was like, why is she wearing a Twins jersey at Wrigley?
It made a lot more sense later, and once that all came through, because the outfits were all over the place. Some of them went for the baseball theme. Some people, on the other hand, did not. So it ends 2-1. Not a great game, but I think that the takeaway from this game is, what anybody's going to remember from this game? It's not going to be the soccer. It's going to be that they got 35,000 people for a women's soccer match at Wrigley Field. And, again, if you're the Red Stars at this point, that is kind of what you're selling. It's what you're selling when you look for where you're going to be playing your soccer long term. It's what you sell for future stadium negotiations. It's what you sell for TV commercials. It's what you sell to ticket holders. It is, you created an event, people showed up, and, again, it was put on as an event. And so the question is, what's next? I guess that's kind of where it leaves
stadium.
me. I mean, yes, eventually, hopefully one day, a stadium. The Red Stars got to look at a women's soccer-specific stadium in recent times. But, again, it feels like, okay, this is a great one-off. What's the knock-on? What's the follow-up? What's the next thing? And maybe it's going to be a couple Wrigley games a year. Maybe it's going to be something else. But, people will come out and watch women's sports. They will come out and watch women's soccer. I mean, heck, look at Sky ticket prices right now. I mean, the demand is there. It's very much a field of dreams. If you build it, they will come situation. We've got more soccer to talk about. We've got more non-soccer to talk about. But once again, CHGO Red Stars is presented by Coors Light. Coors Light, the perfect beer to reach for when you choose to chill. And what a week it is to choose to chill here in Chicago. Hopefully everybody is also staying hydrated out there. So whether you are just trying to keep cool on a very, very hot summer day, or you're out at a sporting event, maybe you're one of 35,000 people out at a women's soccer game. Maybe you're out taking in the baseball of the summer. You can enjoy summer baseball even if you don't enjoy the teams at this particular moment here in Chicago. Whatever you're doing this summer, when you choose to chill and choose a chill mindset, reach for an ice cold Coors Light. mountain cold refreshment, as cold as their Colorado Rockies. That's what it means when those mountains on that can or on that bottle turn blue. Coors Light is mountain cold refreshment, cold filtered for a crisp, smooth finish and taste. You can make the most out of the times you choose to chill by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Goal. That's CoorsLight.com/CHGO Goal. And you can get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. CHGO Red Stars is also brought to you by Shady Rays. Great to have Shady Rays back as a partner here once again in 2024 at CHGO. They have got you covered for this season, whatever your eyewear needs are, with premium shades built to last. They've got polarized sunglasses as well that will not break the bank, unlike some other brands. They're an independent company that has been rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people for their durable frames and crystal clear optics. They are the perfect choice for all your outdoor adventures, whether it's taking in a game, hanging out in the sun or by the pool, going for a hike. I used Shady Rays a couple weekends ago in Denver. They came in great for that. They were great just driving here today, trying to combat that 95-degree sun and keeping that driving experience safe. They've also got such an array of styles and also colors, probably in your team's favorite colors. So you can get some maybe Red Stars Red or Red Stars Teal. Teal, less so. I mean, again, especially right after playing the Kansas City Current, it just happens to be the color the Red Stars are wearing these days. You can go out, wear Shady Rays when you're running, wear Shady Rays when you're just chilling, wear Shady Rays anytime you are outside this summer. If you try out Shady Rays and don't love your shades, that is okay. You can exchange them for a new pair or return them worry-free within 30 days. No risk when you shop. They also have a lost or broken replacement guarantee, so don't sweat it if your shades take an unexpected hit. Exclusively for CHGO listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. All right, Grant, let us get to the most recent game that the Red Stars played in. The most positive, I guess, for a couple of reasons. Kansas City Current 2. Chicago Red Stars 2. That is a good point on the road in general. But pre-match, the big thing, I have been a big advocate of this cause. This podcast has been an advocate of this cause. Where is Sarah Griffith all the time? Well, she finally plays. She finally gets a start. She ends up getting an assist in this game. I don't know about you, but especially for a team that has struggled offensively at times this year, even down the backstretch of last year, it's been really odd to me that she doesn't get more minutes.
Yeah. I just want to shout out Naperville real quick.
Woo!
She went to the wrong valley. But shout out Naperville. Shout out Sarah Griffith, representing Naperville for the Red Stars. I've been wondering where she's been. Could have made some missing posters, I guess, to get her back.
It got a little milk carton to the point where it's like, man, we're trying out, we're getting NWSL rookies who haven't played any minutes, but we can't get Sarah Griffith out there to just try something.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I'll say kind of like Jenna Bike a little bit, where... Like
Jenna Bike last year, where it was like, okay, you traded for this player from Gotham, where is she? And then she ends up being a really impactful player once she actually gets minutes and gets on the field.
We'll see an increase of minutes now because of how she played versus Kansas City, but I'm just hoping that she gets more action, whether she starts or whether it's coming off the bench late in the game, but it's just really good to see her again.
Yeah, that I think is maybe where she's most useful is she is nothing if not fast.
Yeah.
And so if you need somebody to come off the bench in like the 75th minute and just go run around out there and press, like she's a good candidate to do that. She also gave the team some flexibility in this game. We saw a slight tactical wrinkle. Again, the Red Stars have been pretty consistent in that 4-4-2 this year, but we saw her playing on the left of the midfield 4 out of possession. And then when the Red Stars would get the ball, she's pressing a bit higher forward, almost making it a 4-3-3. So again, another point in her favor. Also, B. Franklin got her first NWSL start in this one. So more signs that, adjustments are being tried. We are seeing more faces, and especially an important thing, as we'll get into here momentarily, knowing that you're going to be losing some people and some very important people for potentially a while. And so you have to be prepared for what are your options when that happens. And, again, there's going to be a Mallory Swanson-sized, I would say Mallory Swanson-sized hole, but it might be more accurate to see, let's say, like and Mallory Swanson-sized canyon, abyss, chasm that has to be filled in this team. And so Sarah Griffith is absolutely one of those people trying out for filling in some of that. 6 minutes in, goal Mal Swanson. Sarah Griffith very involved here. Again, when the Red Stars are good, I mentioned this in that first game, it comes from being the team who takes initiative and comes out firing. Sarah Griffith with the feed. Mal Swanson does the rest. Again, this is just another example of just get Mal the damn ball, and good things are probably going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite simple, but,
But not as simple as it looks, right, at the same time, because if it was, Mal would have 15 goals already this season, and she doesn't. But no, this is Mal at her best. The way, again, this shows her maybe best skill, which is that she could just hit that accelerator. That first and second step are quicker than anybody. Nice finish into the far netting. I think it just left 80 Franch just kind of on her knees.
Yes.
Hands on her head, wondering how in the world she didn't have that covered. And that's what Mal Swanson does to people.
Yep, and wait till the Olympics because she's going to be wreaking havoc in our group for that. But I was rewatching the video again and again. I was like, it went right directly underneath Franch's arm. And I was like, just the placement of that was just perfect.
Yeah, that shot's any higher, it's getting saved up here. That shot's any lower, it's getting saved by Franch's left leg. No, that is Mal for you. If voting is still open when you are listening to this podcast, Mal is up for goal of the week. Go vote for her for that.
Go vote for Mal.
It is probably closed by the time you're listening to this, but go vote anyway and just, throw out the hashtag, or it's like I vote for Mal or whatever. Whatever, go find the NWSL official tweet. The Red Stars have retweeted it. We retweeted it. It's out there. It was then a bit of a shooting gallery for the rest of the first half for Kansas City. They outshot the Red Stars, I believe, 28-5 in this game. So it was that kind of afternoon. But the Red Stars managed to take a lead in halftime.
Yeah.
Like to see it. The lead does not survive much longer after the half. 51st minute, Kansas City goal. Alyssa Nair had been very good in the first half. And then this is, if Alyssa Nair has flaws in her game, this is one of them. Occasionally, she's a little overeager to come for crosses.
Yeah.
And Alyssa's only, I believe, 5'7", so she's not the tallest goalkeeper in the world. She tries to come claim a cross. She doesn't get there. Bia Zanerato turns and scores. Now, not that conceding to Bia is, necessarily in itself bad. She's been scoring against everybody this season.
Yes.
Maybe Hannah Anderson can do a little bit better on the line here as well, but it's 1-1, and it was coming.
Since you bring up Hannah Anderson, it's kind of like I wouldn't say she's at fault, but also she's a rookie, hasn't had that many starts under her belt. I think it's just good for her to have that experience and be like, okay, next time, let's not do that.
If my job is to be on the post, I need to be on the post, not post adjacent.
Yeah.
And so, again, Kansas City had that goal coming. And Kansas City, there's a reason. They have scored double the goals of the Red Stars this season. They've scored far more goals than anybody. And this is why, because when it rains, it pours. Looks like the Red Stars are out of trouble. And then Haley Mace just absolutely runs over Sarah Griffith. Not in a, we think it should have been a foul way, but in a shoulder-to-shoulder, Haley Mace is just bigger and stronger than you.
Weight room type deal.
Yeah, very much a just kind of get, a phrase I've heard is you get little brothered. Sarah Griffith got little sistered on this play by Haley Mace. The break is on. Chewinga picks up the loose ball and just fires an absolute rocket past Nair. No chance. Just like that. 2-1. Kansas City are just so relentless on the attack. And in that stadium, when they've got that sold-out crowd, when the momentum turns against you, you're just kind of in trouble against this team.
Yeah, I remember watching the very first game between them and Portland, and it was like, well, I mean, it was a shooting fest at that point.
Did that game finish 5-3?
It finished 5-4, I think.
Oh, yeah, there was like a Sophia Smith goal in like
she
the
had
8th minute of stoppage time that just was... did not change anything, but it was like, okay, sure, why not?
It was weird, but as I was looking through all the results, I was like, so they just score. That's all they do is just score. And then the other team just scores too. But I think we got lucky here considering the end result. But yeah, to have that kind of crowd sold out every game, it's just, that's quite the environment for them. And so I feel like it's going to rain all the time.
Also, it already looks like that stadium is not filled into the corners. It looks like it's already been designed for expansion. They've got to go for that immediately. It's 11,500. They clearly underestimated the demand.
Yeah.
They could have easily, I think, gone 15 there. And
they should have.
So I would imagine they're already discussing how do we get more seats in and around this building because, again, they're putting on a show there. Through 89 minutes of this game, the Red Stars had a single shot, one on target. It was the goal in the 6th minute. 90th minute, though, enter Sam Staab. Corner for the Red Stars. Actually, I'm not even sure this should have been a Red Stars corner. There's a corner right before this where Jamise Joseph gets a shot that goes into the side netting. I didn't see it hit a Kansas City player, but the referee did, and so referee awards a corner. Swanson, outswinger. Sam Staab, out of nowhere, headed, equalizer, total smash and grab. Only 2 shots on goal the entire game. I believe the shots on target in this game were like 12-2 or something like that. That's quite a job to get out of Kansas City if you're the Red Stars with that draw. And even though, again, no wins since we last recorded an episode of CHGO Red Stars, but that is the type of team performance that definitely feels like it's something that can be built on.
I think it's good to steal a point from Kansas City, especially they're like, oh, we're winning. It's like, okay, but you just drew to the Red Stars. Like, you're going to celebrate that?
Yeah, Kansas City, this is not a good result for them given the Red Stars are out of form. So, yeah, that's a good, I think a good point. Red Stars move forward. They have 2 more road games coming up, both the Fire and the Red Stars, just in the middle of these long, arduous road trips. Next up, they play North Carolina in Cary on Sunday, and then they're in San Diego on Friday the 28th. There's one more home game that is on July 6th before the Olympics / what we're calling the W Leagues Cup.
That's what it's called?
No, it's not its official name. It's just clearly what it is. It is just NWSL.
It's like, I don't remember.
No, I don't remember its real name, but it's NWSL and Liga MX Femenil playing some games that are ostensibly for money. Well, there's an international tournament going on. It's a Leagues Cup. Speaking of international soccer, a quick USWNT update over this last few weeks. Sam Staab made her USWNT debut to the delight, in particular, of Washington Spirit fans who've been calling for this for literal years. She was a sub in the first game against South Korea, played 29 minutes, then went the full 90 in game 2. I'd say she looked pretty good overall. The question then, of course, is what are her chances of being on the plane to Paris? Because it seems like in Emma Hayes' eyes, despite having never played for the national team before, she's already ahead of Abby Dahlkemper in the pecking order. The question really becomes, how many out-and-out center backs go to Paris? Because Tierna Davidson and Naomi Girma are going, and they will play every minute if they're healthy, or as long as the games are competitive. But then you've got players like Emily Sonnet, who can play a variety of positions, including center back, which we saw her play in this last window. You've got former Red Star, Casey Kruger, who can play at center back if needed. In an emergency, you could play Emily Fox at center back. So what's your sense, Grant, of if you had to put money on it, where does Sam Staab fall in the Paris discussion?
I think she'll land as an alternate. I don't see her making the roster as an official player. I think what should have happened a long time ago, Vlatko, call up Sam Staab. I feel like this should have happened years ago.
And by now she would have established herself in a way that it would be, clearly you're going to take 3 out-and-out center backs, and Sam Staab is the perfect Tierna Davidson backup because she is also left-footed, has a nice range of long-range pass on her. She's got that jumbo long throw-in thing. She's shown she's good on set pieces. It might just come a moment too soon, but I'd agree. I think if this was a 23-player roster, Sam Staab is definitely on it. 18 players, she's probably an alternate, and I think probably missing out to, Casey Kruger is maybe the name that goes instead of her due to the versatility and the demands of that on an 18-player roster. Also, Mal Swanson, as usual, was very good. Scored 2 goals in her home state of Colorado. Love the joyous goal celebration after the first one. That just seems kind of to be Mal's stock celebration these days, but she just is. It's clear that both physically and mentally she is all the way back. That's great for the Red Stars, and it's really great for U.S. Women's National Team fans.
I can't believe that we get to witness Mal Swanson back here. Yeah.
Knock on wood.
Gonna tear it up in Paris.
But no tearing of knee tendons.
No.
No more of that.
Scoring so many goals. I'm gonna call it now Golden Boot winner.
At the Olympics?
At the Olympics.
All right, there we go.
I'm calling it here at CHGO Red Stars.
Well, the final rosters are due on July 3rd, and the U.S. begin their Olympic campaign on July 25th in Nice against Barbara Banda and Zambia. That should be fun. We've got some legal issues to talk about before we get out of here. But first, CHGO Red Stars is also brought to you by Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors, regardless of familiarity, are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide variety of products that Sunnyside offers with their variety of in-house brands. They have everything you need to elevate your summer. Sunnyside is a one-stop shop for all of your cannabis needs with their expertly curated menu, over 100 strains to choose from, and an easy online ordering and in-store pickup experience. Also, when you're in store, they have an incredibly friendly staff who will answer any questions you might have and guide you through their process. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary. They've got locations here in the city, Wrigleyville, River North. They're also out in the suburbs and beyond, all the way down in Champaign, in fact, South Beloit, and more. If you're just starting out, Sunnyside has expert guidance, as I mentioned, with their in-store team and brands they know you'll love, like Good News and Mindy's. Or if you're a pro, they've got you covered. Again, over 100 strains are on the menu. They're adding new products every week. They've got brands like Cresco and Florical with incredible quality and consistent products. You know what you're getting when you shop at Sunnyside. It's easy to order online, and again, they are always there to help in store. You can head to Sunnyside.shop and use code HICHGO. That's code HICHGO at checkout for 35% off your favorite brands, Cresco, Good News, and more, to elevate your first purchase. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only 21 and over, or for Illinois medical card holders. Also, at CHGO, there is so much going on right now. Check out allchgo.com/events for the full event calendar. That includes the inaugural Cookout Classic golf tournament. That's going to be out at St. Andrews Golf and Country Club in West Chicago. They'll have individual hole contests, lots of prizes, lots of giveaways, free swag, lots of stuff going on. Cash bar, lunch after. It's a great day out, these tournaments that are put on by the big drive guys out of Denver. We had one tournament last year, doing two this year. Should be a great time. The Bears crew, including our producer today, Mr. Greg Braggs, are off to London. Although I know Grant and I are not the biggest fans of the stadium, they will be visiting at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It still looks like it's been an incredible experience for all the teams and fans who've been able to experience that, and you can do it with CHGO. Head to truefantravel.com to make your deposit and secure your spot on that trip. Meanwhile, what else we got going on? The CHGO crew is heading up to Milwaukee to Wrigley North on June 29th, brought to you by our friends at Circa Sportsbook for the Cubs against the Brewers. Things will start off at Crossroads Bar and Grill at 9 a.m., and there will be transportation from there, as well as a pit stop at the Circa Sportsbook in Waukegan. Meanwhile, on the south side, you can join the CHGO White Sox crew and other diehards for their takeover at Guaranteed Rate Field on June 24th against the LA Dodgers. Go see Garrett Crochet pitch to Shohei Ohtani, and maybe some other players will also be there as well. Mostly just go enjoy a good time with the White Sox guys and enjoy the food and beverage options not only provided by all our friends, but by everything going on the south side as well. And also the Bulls, they've got a draft party coming up, an NBA live draft show. That's going to be at PB&J right here in the West Loop. Matt Peck and Big Dave will be giving away Bulls memorabilia as well as awesome CHGO swag throughout the night. Coors Light specials all night as well. We love to hear that here at CHGO Red Stars, presented by Coors Light. Also a great time, as always, to become a CHGO diehard. In addition to first access to all of those events, you get a free t-shirt when you sign up, access to the members-only Discord. Come chat Red Stars with us. Come chat international soccer with us. Fire, whatever you want to come join in on the discussions there. And just, follow everything we're doing here at allchgo.com and at CHGO. Podcast, post-game shows, written content, all that good stuff. Thank you for supporting everything we do here at CHGO. All right, Grant, for the last segment of this show, didn't ever think we'd be talking about potential legal issues on this podcast, but soccer has a funny way of finding its way into odd places. So the side discussion here is that, as some of you might be familiar if you are music fans in the Chicago area, the relationship between the music festival Riot Fest and its home, Douglas Park, has been a tenuous one for quite some time, whether it's their relationship with the actual Chicago Park District, whether it's the relationship with the neighborhood, which has made it very known that they don't love that the event is here and that there's not much investment in the community around Douglas Park, when this festival comes in, Riot Fest is out of Douglas Park. So where are they going? SeatGeek Stadium. They're going to Bridgeview. There's only one problem. The weekend of Riot Fest, the Red Stars are at home against San Diego Wave. That is slated to be a nationally televised game. Also, see Alex Morgan effect. Probably drives tickets well. I guess we can also shout out our, we got lots of former Red Stars friends who are involved in San Diego. Danny Colaprico on the field. Got some behind the backroom staff folks as well who will be in town for that game. You can also see Jaden Shaw play, one of the new stars of the USWNT. Lots of reasons to go to that game. But that game's location is now in doubt, obviously because Riot Fest is from the 20th to the 22nd of September. So that game is smack dab in the middle of it. Of course, this is the headline, is that it affects this game. But SeatGeek Stadium is also the office and training center, not only for the Red Stars, but for the Fire and the Hounds, the rugby team as well. So there's a lot of people who are going to work every day at the stadium who this is going to disrupt in addition to this game. So this seems like a problem. There's been a bit of a war of words.
Just a tiny problem,
The Red Stars have had a statement out basically saying that if this was a Fire game rather than a women's soccer game, this wouldn't have happened. They've thrown out the threat of legal action. Bridgeview claims they told the Red Stars back in April that this was a possibility and that they got no reply. And Bridgeview also said that they're just trying to get the best for their taxpayers.
Which is a lie.
They also mentioned that, we've had concurrent events before. It's like, yeah, you've had concurrent events before, and like there was a concert on Wednesday and a game on Saturday. Not a giant music festival that's going to be bringing in tens of thousands of people and soccer at the same time. This just isn't going to fly. So, Grant, I don't know what your reaction was to all of this, but I think basically in the end, either it's going to be decided that they violated the terms of the stadium lease, or it isn't, and then everything, I guess, just has to go from there.
I mean, if I'm in charge of the Red Stars, this is what I'd do. Since they just came off of having a record-breaking crowd, find somewhere in Chicago to have the game, forget SeatGeek,
and just make it a big event?
Just make it a big event.
So on the possible locations for that, the Cubs have a game that day, so Wrigley is sadly out. As awesome as the grass did hold up for the Wrigley game, you cannot install it that quickly.
Yes.
Soldier Field is available that weekend. There is no Fire, there is no Bears, there is no adjacent Bears game. Of course, that means you have to deal with the Chicago Park District and get approval for that. The Bears and Fire lease has lots of terms about how many events can be played there. That would be a nice solution. It might not be the easiest.
It would be an expensive solution.
It's an expensive solution. I think somebody who it might be worth calling is UIC, University of Illinois at Chicago. It's not a big stadium seats-wise, but it is the best grass surface in Chicago, the best soccer service in Chicago. Might also be worth putting into a call to the city of Evanston because, long-term, what are your options there? The agreement for a new Northwestern Stadium included no pro sports, but we all know money talks. And so, Northwestern are coming up with some creative solutions right now up on the North Shore. Maybe you can get in on that if the Cats aren't home that weekend and you can use the temporary stadium they're constructing on the lake. There are options. There are no great options. But again, it comes down to the lease, which it's, of course, worth remembering. The primary tenants on this lease, even though they don't play most of their soccer games there anymore, are the Chicago Fire. This is a lease that was renegotiated in 2019 when Joe Mansueto purchased the Fire. There were 10 more years on that lease. At the time, that was renegotiated to 5, which for if you're doing the math at home, yes, that means this is the last year of that. There is no public information about this lease. It is not public knowledge what the terms are. It's not public knowledge what's happening if there's been any agreements past 2024, particularly as far as the Red Stars are concerned. The Fire are moving to a new headquarters in Little Italy with training fields and offices and all that. So if it's decided that the lease has not been violated, well, now the Red Stars have to get creative and we see what happens. If it is decided that Bridgeview violated the lease, you're going to have lawyers for the Red Stars and the Fire coming at you, which are two teams owned by billionaire business people.
Yes.
And that does not sound like a legal fight. If I'm the city of Bridgeview, that I would be particularly interested in. But I think, Grant, really the upshot of all of this discussion is it really opens the door to begin discussing what does the Red Stars' future look like? Because they've made some noise about, maybe wanting to build a new stadium. The current stadium discourse, whether it's whether it's the Bears or the White Sox, it seems like the time is coming for maybe the Fire and the Red Stars to partner on a soccer stadium. I think just this is an incident, though, that might speed up that process in terms of where the discussions go next.
I think all of this is going to lead to Red Stars asking for public funding, which means, asking for the taxpayer dollar. And as I've said multiple times on Red Stars Report, that is something that I am absolutely not a fan of because people don't want to pay for that. You've seen what happened in Kansas City, where the Royals and the Chiefs were like, hey, we want to make a really awesome stadium. Will you pay for it? And it's like, nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants their money to go to that, especially if these people aren't necessarily going to your games. They want to go to something. If they were going to go, they need examples of like, oh, this is worth it for me. But that's really not the case sometimes.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough sell. I think the main argument that I've seen there is basically like, hey, if the Bears get $1 billion in public money, which I will believe that when I see it, is it fair that shouldn't everybody else get a piece of that pie? Again, first things first, the Bears would need to be granted that enormous loan that they would need to get the funding on their side, then they would need to get the public funding. That is a very, very long way away. It's also a tough sell if you're looking at the soccer side of it.
Yeah.
Two of the wealthiest owners in Chicago sports are the owners of the Chicago soccer teams. Wealthier than the ownership of the Bears, wealthier than the ownership of the White Sox, and so that figures in two. In my mind, it makes the process actually easier because while, whether it's the Bears or the White Sox, probably if they want to build the stadium they want, they do not have enough money in-house to do it. The Red Stars do. The Fire do. And so I think that also might be an interesting caveat as this goes forward that, the soccer teams are in a position that the other sports teams in Chicago are not. In that, the stadiums they would build are less expensive and that they have better cash flow than a lot of the other people looking for new buildings. It's going to be interesting to follow. We will certainly talk about it on this podcast as the season goes along. I'm interested to see the solutions at play. I'm also hoping it's an opportunity maybe for some cooperation between the city soccer teams because I think if the Fire and the Red Stars work together, that can be to everybody's benefit.
We'll see about that. But I'll just bring up really quickly an idea that people might hate for a place to go for that game is Benedictine. I know it's far away.
The Red Stars did used to play down the street at North Central.
Yeah. So I've been to that stadium. It's nice. I think we could get a good crowd out there, maybe, ? There is access to public transportation with the train station. So we'll see. I'm just throwing that idea out there. Nobody give me suburbs hate on that part. But
hey, I'm sure everybody is all open to any possibilities. I'm sure there are people affiliated with the Red Stars listening, and I'm sure they're taking all ideas into consideration. We have to get out of here in part because I actually have to go to Benedictine to work a soccer game of all things. It never stops, folks. But Grant, before we get out of here, anything you want to plug? Thank you so much for coming on the show. Great to finally have you on. We've been having this discussion about getting you on the show for a while.
Yes, there's so much to plug. Support Pro-Am Soccer. Support Riverlight FC. They play at Aurora University. I also work for my school's basketball team, so Lewis University women's basketball. They're the GLVC champions, tournament champions, and regular season champions. And if you want to go to a Cougars game, Northwestern Madison Field in Geneva. I'm all about the suburbs, because I'm in Naperville. So
go Suburb Sports.
Go Suburb Sports. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on this podcast. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And check out Grant and LT on Red Stars Report. They're doing great work over there. Some written stuff as well. Great to see more coverage of the Red Stars and of women's sports in Chicago, wherever we can get it and wherever we can see it. And as we've just established, that's a bit of an open question. But again, if you can get 35,000 folks out to Wrigley Field, lots of things feel possible. That is going to do it for this episode of CHGO Red Stars. Thank you again to Grant Dorsey for joining me today. Thank you to Greg Braggs behind the scenes. I'm Alex Campbell, and I'll see you next time.
We all silly like the mayor.